The time is just gone 8:38 as we continue with the broadcast on this beautiful day of Jum'ah. And time now to focus on recent posts that have been surfacing on social media. We're talking about what is termed as a hit list. And this hit list is about Muslim leaders in South Africa, and we've seen pictures of many people that have appeared. Some of them actually deceased. There are people that are not in South Africa at this point in time. There are people that we would obviously question in terms of why their pictures have actually come up on this so-called hit list. And this also includes a number of organizations, even organizations like the South African National Halal Authority. We've seen political parties like Al Jamaa. We've seen media organizations. We've seen relief organizations, all of them appearing on this hit list. And we've seen the name also of Amit Mori surfacing with regards to this hit list and who would be the likely person behind this hit list. Now, we know Amit Mori is a what is termed as an RSS troublemaker from Mumbai. He is based in Durban. He supposedly works as an engineer at Transnet. He's been running a pro Modi outfit, and I can say that with conviction because I have had the opportunity of taking him on in an interview a few years ago, the Friends of India movement, and also just continuously driving this wedge between Hindus and Muslims in South Africa. And for many of us that have grown up in South Africa, that have grown up in traditional Indian areas, we know what relationship we as Muslims have enjoyed with the Hindu community in South Africa. And the last thing we need is this wedge that is driven between Hindus and Muslims in South Africa. And I'm sure many local Hindus have not actually bought into this agenda and this work of Amit More. And to unpack all of this, we are joined by the chairperson of SAMNET. We're joined by Dr. Faisal Suliman. Faisal, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and welcome.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for the opportunity tonight, and Juma Mubarak to everyone.
Yes, Juma Mubarak to you as well, Faisal. And clearly, Faisal, we've seen so much discussion take place on social media with regard to this hit list, the people, the names, the photographs, the organizations, all of it surfacing. And again, just looking at where we are as a Muslim community, the point I had made all along with the Hindu community, we have enjoyed a fantastic relationship. In fact, we've seen many actually supporting many of our causes as we have supported their causes as well. The whole question of Gaza, Palestine, and in any way, in every way whatsoever, we've been a very close knit community.
No, it is. Traditionally, you're quite right. There was a stage when, whether you were Hindu, whether you were Tamil, you were North Indian, South Indian, Muslim, people, because of the apartheid spatial separation, etc., people lived in each other's homes. People, neighbors, very close, especially in areas like Lenasia, Phoenix, Chatsworth, um, Fordsburg, Vitas, etc. So that is dissipating to some extent. I think among the activist level, there still is that. But we have seen a growing um, inclination towards RSS thinking, Modi thinking, from many of the local Hindu people, even some of the organizations. Some of them are a bit more open about it, others not. A lot of the businessmen in the Indian embassy and has sponsored a lot of people and helped a lot of businessmen. And under the, whether you want to call it the guise or the subject of cultural tours, cultural exchanges, etc., bringing RSS people to South Africa and taking South Africans on tours to India, paid for by the Modi government, but essentially brainwashing trips. Um, and it starts small, but it grows. We've seen it in India. People are very well aware of what is happening to Muslims in India. Similarly, in Kashmir, even worse. And we have seen, even I have seen posts even by previously um, people who are involved in the anti-apartheid struggle, who now leaning towards the RSS type of thinking. I've seen it in some posts where I am with some people from various communities, Christian, Hindus, Muslims, etc. And then when challenged, then they simply go underground, which is a bit disappointing. We have seen that there's a strong RSS troll group. And I know one Hindu colleague who posted something once on this group about the Uyghurs, not even about Modi or anything like that, but about the treatment of the Uyghurs. And she was telling me she was trolled incessantly by RSS supporters. Also, um, she was sent then videos which she sent to me. Some of them fake, some of them manipulated, but taken the most extreme examples of people in Pakistan, and this is wrong too, talking about hate towards Hindus. So there are some Maulanas, some leadership of small groups in Pakistan, and not unexpectedly so, but doesn't mean we must condone it. That have been really preaching, and they found these videos, and these are the ones that circulate among the Hindu nationalists, among the RSS groups. And this woman was sent these and sent them to me, and I tried to explain to her, these are extremists, and they do not represent Islam. They do not represent the sentiments of the Pakistani people on the whole, or even the Pakistani government. But once prejudice, and we, of course, in the most glaring example of prejudice, of hate, of indoctrination, is when we see local Zionists, local politicians like Stianezen, Musi Maimani, and this whole lot, absolutely not just keep silent, but support a genocide in front of their eyes, as what is going on in Gaza, without any criticism, without any reservations. And that is the effect of indoctrination. Also, the effect of money. And, the Indian government has money to spend. Like many other embassies, the embassies are not just there for issuing visas and promoting trade. Every embassy has an intelligence department, has departments to go out and infiltrate the positions of the government. South Africa is strategic for many, many reasons, clearly close to India, traditionally, and with BRICS. So we'd be naive to think the Indian government, the Modi government particularly, is not operating in South Africa. We forget, just like there are hundreds of thousands of Pakistani nationals here, there are hundreds of thousands of Indian nationals, particularly working in IT places where Pakistanis are more visible, because you see them in retail, barbers, cell phone, clearly, takeaways, and other businesses now. Whereas the Indian nationals are more in IT, working behind the scenes, living in areas where you won't even know, but they're extremely strong. And we saw it when Modi visited here for the first BRICS summit many years ago. So we'd be naive to think that whether it's Mossad, whether it's raw, the Indian intelligence are not operating strongly here, infiltrating, possibly paying people like Amit More. By the way, this list of Amit More is not the first one. He's been up to mischief for a very long time. Created posters, with terrorist-looking posters with SAMNET and my photo on it many years ago, guns and all sorts of things with SAMNET logo, etc. So we have tried to talk to some attorneys to say, there must be a case of hate speech we can bring up upon him. We're still waiting for some attorneys to volunteer that time, but so it would not be unexpected for us, and we shouldn't be naive to think that this is not happening in the background. But clearly, definitely from the RSF, from the Indian government, or Modi government in particular, clearly who doesn't represent all the sentiments of all Indians, and definitely now Israel will even strengthen their operations here in South Africa now, post what we've seen. They may be pulling down flags in Israel and this and that, but the operations will intensify with the assistance of probably British and American intelligence, even French intelligence. So
Yeah.
we need to be prepared for this. We need to be prepared for a greater onslaught on the Muslim community, greater lobbying at government level against Muslims. Um, I mean, we assisting now. Just to give an example, a policeman in Stanger was having a horrid time in his station because he has a beard, facing disciplinary hearings, harassment, etc., being taunted in his station because his station commander is, and there's somewhere along the line someone has briefed the policeman, has gone do some training, and we know in the past with the SAMNET project many years ago, the number of, under the guise of sharing cooperation and intelligence and training, you'd have FBI, CIA, all of these people come here and say, we want to help you train your policemen, help you train. And the manuals they use promote Islamophobia. The manuals they use put Muslims in a negative light. And to think that that won't filter down would be silly, would be very, very naive of us, that repetitive training at the level of police intelligence, etc., doesn't eventually filter down. And just like we're now seeing Arab Zionists, it would not. I mean, it shouldn't be any shock to us that you'd have even traditional African people buying into the Zionist narrative, whether it's because of funding, whether it's because of constant propaganda. I mean, if I give you another example, it's slightly off track, but it goes to the point. When Elon Musk went to Israel a couple of weeks ago, or I think late last year somewhere, they showed him watching this video, with Netanyahu, etc. And after that, he had this epiphany that Muslims are all mad and Gazans, and that's where he was, he was considering opening internet and cut the internet link and cut Twitter, and they helped him to then block all Palestinian content on Twitter, etc. And one can imagine that they had a very doctored video showing him the sort of propaganda they were spewing out. And if you're sitting there with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Intelligence and the head of Mossad in a meeting and made to feel like God and show you this video and say, we can't show the public, whatever, you're going to be brainwashed. You just have to see what would be rational Jewish people in South Africa being silent and even funding and carrying on increasing the funding and sending soldiers to South Africans to the IDF, increasing the numbers they're sending to go kill, to not just kill, but wipe out, massacre people in Gaza. So brainwashing, intelligence shouldn't surprise us. I can tell you it's disappointing that a lot of local Hindus are buying into this narrative. The next question becomes, I assume then, what are we doing about it? You mentioned you took on Amit More, but that is like trying to convince Farwood that apartheid was wrong, or to convince Netanyahu that Zionism is wrong. The war is not with him. The war is in the public, in the neutrals, in trying to us developing an effective media strategy in the mainstream media, on social media, to counter this sort of prejudice and brainwashing.
Faisal, just looking at Amit More now, we know he's a known troublemaker, and I've been, just going through the names and the photographs that appear on this, and included. And we're not talking about Muslim leaders only. We're talking about there are a number of non-Muslims, Hindus, that actually appear on them, and people like Nishant Bolton being referred to as anti-BJP RSS activist, Professor Brij Maharaj. Exactly the same thing. We see Devi Rajab, anti-BJP activists. Now, these are also some people that are basically featured on here. And the fact of the matter is, we know that this man runs this pro-Modi outfit, and we've seen it right across the entire world. We know what a warm welcome Modi had by the pro-BJP RSS faction in the US. We know what has taken place in the United Kingdom, the riots that have broken out as a result of the standoff between Muslims and Hindus in the UK. We cannot afford to have that here in South Africa, but you have an organization like his, calling it the Friends of India, and I would say the equivalent of the South African Zionist Federation or the South African Jewish Board of Deputies, because this is a pro RSS BJP lobby group operating within our country. And this is something that we, as a community, but also as government, need to take notice that, these are outfits that are operating in South Africa and what their agenda is, and the hatred, and also in terms of what they are spewing, because what they're talking about is, anti-Indian, anti-Hindu, pro-Pakistani. These are some of the narratives, that they are actually promoting.
No, absolutely. Look, they're gathering intelligence from embassies, from organizations like this. This was probably some Amit gathered, and you're right. He's mentioned a few Hindus in there. So anybody that is critical of Modi or RSS or this whole Hindutva philosophy will go on to some sort of list that he can disseminate among Hindus, among his followers, among his supporters and recruits, to say these are the lot of people you have to be careful of. Don't put them. I used to be interviewed on Radio Hinvani quite often, etc. That has been cut down. I assume partly because of the influence of here. It's not difficult. The Indian government just has to take one, two adverts, do some promotion with Hinvani, and next minute say, you know what, but we're not happy to continue, supporting the radio station, or, paying for a presenter or doing cultural shows if you're interviewing anti Modi government people like me or anybody else, Brij Maharaj, who's been quite outspoken in public about the RSS. So yeah, it's anybody that is perceived as being anti-Modi or anti-RSS that will go onto this list and be circulated among them. Um, we can't when they cross the legal line, then one can say, right, let us take them on in court, lay charges, apply even for his expulsion from this country, because he's causing sowing disunity and causing mischief. But he's a foreigner, or maybe he's naturalized now. I'm not sure. He's been here for many years. But it doesn't mean that there are others that we just don't know about. We must know that Mossad, the Indian intelligence, are all gathering. For years, the RAND report makes it clear they know more about the Muslims in many cases than we do. All our different factions. Now with social media, everybody posting everything everywhere. It's easier to gather intelligence. It's not difficult to send someone to a mosque. If they can infiltrate Hamas, and clearly they've infiltrated the PA for decades now extensively, and infiltrated the Arab governments, etc. It's not difficult to get someone just like we have black people in the Israeli Defense Force. We had Askaris here. We had black people, Indians, working for the apartheid government as spies, as collaborators as policemen. You will have Muslims as well collaborating and spying. So because we don't see it in front of us, we would be silly to think it is not happening. It should give us the impetus to organize ourselves, to develop our own intelligence, to improve our own social media campaigns. Gaza has opened the door to a lot of people curious about Muslims or curious about Islam, painting that the faith that the people in Gaza have shown, is the type of faith that you saw in the early periods of Islam. The resoluteness, the faith, the fact that they the trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, etc. And that has I was watching some YouTube videos on recent converts, or reverts rather, and they're talking about exactly this. What spurred them on about curious about Islam is what they saw in Gaza. So we need to use these opportunities that come our way. Like post 9/11, you saw a lot of people curious about Islam, and many reversions, or just the topic of Islam come up to the fore. Well, it happened again. Also, what happened is the myth of Israeli so-called liberal values, etc., that has been shattered. So we must know there's intelligence happening against us. Even if this poster just made it obvious that it's there, but it's happening. And we just need a shift. One of the things, Inayat, one of the ways we can we can counter this sort of thing, is to get people we support in parliament. And this is why I want people, asking people to register to vote. We'll discuss about voting later on, before the window closes for registration. Because when you have parties that we can put in parliament, in provincial parliament, in the subcommittees on intelligence, on foreign affairs, that's how you counter this. You put people there that you can rely on, that will be at the coal face of where power is happening, where discussions are happening, where lobbying is taking place. And that's where the context come from. One of the things we always talk about is context. Well, this is the place to develop context, and in parliament. So register to vote. When you have people in these, you have, whether it's Muslims or non-Muslims, but people that we have voted for or helped to choose, they are your eyes and ears in parliament. They are your lobbying in parliament. Just like what the Zionists are now doing with this Moonshot Pact, developing their own context and placing people in strategic positions in parliament, in subcommittees, etc., portfolio committees. Register to vote. One of the ways of countering this is to have people in those positions, nationally and provincially, that help to counter Islamophobia. I mean, imagine we had a lot of people in senior policemen, in the SAPS at all different levels, at the ministerial level, at the portfolio committee. We wouldn't have here a Muslim policeman being harassed, taken disciplinary hearings, mocked, etc., in his station because he has a beard. That should be put to bed. But this is where those contexts help, and that's why to register to vote and vote strategically will help that.
For that, unfortunately, time is of the essence, and we've actually run out of time. But I'm sure you and I will have a lot more to actually talk about, inshallah, going forward on this particular matter and also on many other issues. But for now, have yourself a wonderful Jummah, inshallah, and inshallah, looking forward to further engagements. And I'm sure, with regard to voting elections, there's a lot you and I will be focusing on. For now, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you for the opportunity.
Dr. Faisal Suliman with us this morning, right here on Assalam Media. And this is a space that we will be watching very, very closely with regards to this agenda that is playing out in South Africa and this infiltration by people like Amit Mori in South Africa, sowing discord, trying to drive a wedge between communities as well, and also promoting certain ideologies, certain hateful agendas like the Hindutva ideology, promoting the likes of the RSS and the BJP. We're going to go for a break. We've got Jummah Nasiha coming up shortly.